This is a 400,000 Rolex watch that has spent years exposed to moisture, air, and oxidation, but today I'm going to restore it step by step. When I first hold this watch in my hand, the texture is rough and brittle, and the original shine has vanished under layers of corrosive decay. The first thing I do is examine the watch externally and observe the degree of surface rust, pitting, discoloration, and biological residue. This tells me how deep the damage goes and whether the original finish can still be recovered. Now I begin with initial exterior cleaning using controlled mechanical brushing combined with a mild ultrasonic solution. This is a slow, careful process because I do not want to remove the original material or destroy subtle details like the engraved crown logo or the polished edges that Rolex machining is known for. As rust begins to soften and release, I can already see glimmers of the original stainless steel beneath. This gives me the first indication that the watch might still have a future. Now I start the preparation for disassembly, because before we can restore anything on a Rolex, the movement must be fully accessed. I apply penetrating lubricant to each microscopic screw and allow time for the metal to relax. These screws are old and fragile, and snapping one would risk permanent damage. One by one, I gently release them until finally I open the rear case. Inside, I find the movement frozen with rust, gears seized, oil dried into sticky residue, and a balance wheel that no longer swings. Rolex movements are engineering marvels with micro tolerances, and right now this one is a graveyard of still parts. I begin carefully removing each internal component, placing every piece in a labeled container to ensure proper tracking. Springs, wheels, bearings, gears, and screws come out individually. Precision is everything here because one lost part could destroy the entire restoration. Once disassembled, I begin deep cleaning. The components go through multiple stages of ultrasonic cleansing, degreasing, and micro-brushing. Rust dissolves, surfaces brightened, but I keep everything controlled. I do not polish away authenticity. Every original mark, engraving, edge, and finish must remain true to Rolex standards. Some parts are too damaged to revive and will require either micro-repair or replacement with authentic Rolex spec components. For pieces that can be saved, I use rust neutralizing solution, micro-sanding, and controlled re-oiling to restore their functional surfaces. When internal jewels are revealed again, they shine like microscopic crystals, ready to support frictionless gear rotation. Next, I move to reconstruction. I begin reassembling the gear train, carefully aligning each wheel. The escapement begins to take shape. I fit the balance assembly with fresh lubrication, so that even the smallest contact surface will have the correct resistance for accurate timing. When I finally reinstall the balance wheel, I give it the slightest impulse, and at last it swings freely. The movement is alive again. That moment when a once dead watch ticks is incredibly satisfying and emotional, because it is the revival of craftsmanship, history, and mechanical art. Now I restore the exterior. I refine the case with a multi-stage finishing process that removes corrosion while preserving the sharp edges of Rolex design. The crown is cleaned, seals replaced, and the crystal inspected. The bracelet, if present, undergoes its own restoration of links and pins. Gradually, the watch transitions from an artifact of decay into a timeless luxury instrument. When the case catches light and the polished surfaces reflect again, it becomes clear that this watch will not only work, it will look like a Rolex should look. Finally, I calibrate the movement for accuracy. Tiny adjustments are made using micro tools to regulate its timing until it meets high precision levels. Once complete, I assemble everything and gently wipe the final surface. What began as a rusted relic that looked beyond repair now sits ticking smoothly. This is more than a mechanical object. It is a piece of history returned to life. The transformation reminds us why restoration matters. It is not about making old things new, but about respecting craftsmanship and giving objects another chance to function and shine. The 400,000 Rolex, once buried under rust and neglect, now tells time again with dignity and perfection.